There's a type of fasting that makes demons flee territories they've occupied for decades. While most Christians think all fasting is the same, hell knows better and has kept this secret from the church for centuries. What you're about to discover isn't just about skipping meals. It's about accessing a level of spiritual authority that makes the kingdom of darkness tremble. The enemy's goal is to keep you weak through the flesh, but he fears when a believer enters into powerful fasting, because his entire operation against them collapses. Today, you will discover the 4 types of fasting that make hell tremble. The first type of fasting that strikes absolute terror into the heart of hell is fasting incorporated with intense prayer and worship. When you enter this type of fast, your spirit enters God's presence, and he begins to remove the bands of wickedness in your life. Satan takes decades to plant evil, establishing strongholds and systems of defeat around your destiny. But when you fast and pray with intensity, every evil thing he has set up against you begins to crumble. In Matthew 15:13, Jesus said, "Every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up." This fast doesn't just trim the leaves of the enemy's work. It pulls out the entire root system. Satan fears this because one powerful fast can destroy decades of his labor in a matter of days. Some situations have persisted in your life, not because they are natural problems, but because a spiritual force is behind them, a force that's simple. Prayer alone cannot dislodge. You need fasting. As Jesus taught in Matthew 12:29, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man? The strong man represents demonic forces controlling areas of your life. Fasting combined with intense prayer gives you the spiritual authority to bind the strong man. In Isaiah 58:6, God describes his chosen fast to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. The second type of fasting that sends shockwaves through hell is fasting that is full of praises and worship. Certain deliverances will only come when you worship. There is a supernatural power you receive when you worship that you cannot get any other way. In 2 Chronicles 20, when Jehoshaphat and Judah faced an impossible battle, God told them to put the worshipers in front of the army. As they began to praise, their enemies destroyed each other. This is Tehillah praise, which creates an atmosphere so powerful it changes the spiritual environment, one where demons cannot survive. During your fast, you cannot afford to sleep the day away or watch television. You must be actively worshiping. This weakens your flesh and strengthens your spirit, giving you an authority that demons cannot challenge. In Acts 16, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises in prison, and an earthquake shook the foundations and loosed everyone's bands. This is the power of praise. The third type of fasting that hell fears most is fasting from anything that feeds your flesh, known as consecration and sanctification. Most believers miss this, thinking fasting is only about food. But the only way to break certain habits that have become strongholds is by fasting from them completely. This might mean not watching television, not listening to certain music, or avoiding activities that feed your flesh. When you are busy with worldly entertainment, you leave God little time to work on your character. By fasting from these things, you create space for God to rewire your spirit. Jesus himself withdrew from the crowds for seasons of consecration. How much more do we need it? Satan hates this fast because it dislodges the systems he builds around you. The enemy works through entertainment and habits that keep you connected to the world. When you fast from these things, you disconnect from the enemy's network and plug into God's. The fourth type of fasting Satan fears desperately is when you fast specifically asking God to open your spiritual eyes and reveal hidden things. This fast pulls back the curtain on the spirit realm and exposes everything the enemy tries to hide. His entire operation depends on keeping you blind, but a revelatory fast exposes him completely. In Daniel 10, Daniel fasted for 21 days seeking understanding. He not only received the interpretation of his vision, but also discovered the intense spiritual warfare happening in the heavens he was unaware of. The angel told him, "Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand ... thy words were heard. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days." When you fast for revelation, you demand the enemy show his cards. You see his strategies and the spiritual roots behind natural circumstances. When you practice these 4 types of fasting, the years of evil planting Satan has done are destroyed, strongholds are broken, and spiritual blinders are removed. But the enemy will fight you fiercely. He'll make you feel hungry, weak, and discouraged. He'll try to convince you that fasting doesn't work. These attacks are confirmation that your fasting is working and he is desperate. The temporary discomfort is nothing compared to the permanent breakthrough you're about to experience. Remember, fasting without prayer is just starving yourself. Without worship, it's just a diet. Without consecration, it's just temporary discipline. Without seeking revelation, it's just self-punishment. But when you combine these elements, you create spiritual dynamite that explodes every chain and destroys every work of the enemy. Thank you for watching.